Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between. My name is Stevel, and I am an enjoyer of games and Godzilla. Today we're going to be looking at Game 2 of the Godzilla Card Game First International Showcase between the unofficial Japanese Discord and the unofficial English Discord. You can find the original VOD on Rapushi-san's Twitch account, which you can see at the bottom of the screen, and I will also include a link to the Twitch and the Discords in the description below. If you enjoy this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. The two players for this game is going to be Inono-san and Ian. Inono-san's accomplishments in the game include the winner of the first King of the Monsters tournament. He's won a couple store Goji Cups, and he's also won about 27 store tournaments, and this is as of December 19th when this match was recorded and played. For Ian, since we have not had any large tournaments for the English game, we have just basically the store tournaments, and the unofficial Discord also holds weekly tournaments every Sunday night. So Ian has won about a dozen of the store tournaments, as well as about the same amount of the Discord tournaments, and that again is as of December 19th. He has since won more, but he is typically the person that comes in first. He's kind of the man to beat on the Discord. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the decks. Inono's deck is a Red Rage deck. It's got 31 monsters, 12 battle cards. 4 are the Varins, which are going to be used for draw and discard, and then he's got 4 Gams and 4 King of the Monsters, and those are going to be for countering his opponent when he needs to. He's got 7 strategies, 3 are destruction cards, and then 4 are control cards as I've categorized them, but technically the Godzilla landing can also function as a destruction card if your opponent is in the right position at the right time. Alright, now we're going to go and take a look at Ian's deck. Ian is playing a blue Rage deck. He calls this the Bungler because gameplay-wise, the strategy is to just invade 2 each turn and then rage as much as you can. It's sort of you can just unga-bunga into 7, and if you begin your turn at 7, then you will basically win. Sort of a don't think, just jam type of deck. He's got 32 monsters. He's got 12 battle cards. You'll notice the difference in blue is that he's running these Rank 7 Godzilla 1994s, which have the added effect of they will push your opponent back 1 space if they have less than 40,000 threat at the end of your turn, and it's also adjacent to your monster. So it's a very good tempo card that also will give you an extra 6,000 counter power. And then for his destruction, he's got 4 destruction cards and 2 Godzilla attacks, which clear 8 and get you to 7 as quickly as possible. Alrighty. Now let's go ahead and watch the match. Alright, so Inono is going first. He is raging 3.
撃退フェーズに入ります。撃退失敗。撃退フェーズ開始時に落として
gets 1 more rage off of his monster's
So
effect.
he will go to the counter phase, and he will use his card's effect, which will draw the top card of his deck, and it was a monster card, so he will have 4 rage.
エンドフェーズ一歩進んでハンド3枚2枚ドローでエンドです。
Alright.
He will
So this
go to end
is-
phase, advance 1, take 2 cards as his hand was have 3.
Sort of typical Red Rage gameplay.
はい、1ドラします。
Use the monsters to get the cards you need into your hand. Ian
Invade 2 going to
discards
3.
a Gam to invade
Yeah.
2.
6.
Yeah.
Or 5.
discard the rest of his hand for 5 rage.
怒りを5枚
And
捨てますの
this is
あ
what
の
the
怪獣カード
typical bungler
5枚
gameplay
捨
is
て
supposed
て
to look
怒
like.
りを5枚から増やしますで5枚取りますでターン終わりです
はい、わかりました。ターンもらいます、ワンドロー。光が消えます。どうしよう。
So one thing you are going to notice is that
バランを2枚出しておきます。
well, we'll get that back to that later.
He will
All right, so he
place
plays
two
two Varens and 2 monsters. So the downside
It's
is
also
he ended
one
up
of my
drawing
favorite monsters and cards.
these two
Underrated.
battle cards that don't really do much
誰
for
も
him right
好
now.
きな
but
怪
he's
獣
Needs to get them out of his hand. They find the more
カード
important
も
cards.
あの
So
なんか思
generally,
ったより
you'd want it
いいな
to
と
you'd want to play those
Yes.
once you got to zone
い
6.
いですよね。この
But
カード
he's playing a slower game,
It's good, he says.
so he's not going to be in 6 very soon. So he's
We
going to go
agree.
ahead and
Some things don't change, apparently.
he's going to go ahead and play those out now just to get more
はい、じゃ
options
あ、
for later.
撃退フェーズに入ります。効果。失敗。おお、3枚出ちゃった。エンドフェーズ1歩進んで、ハンド2枚、3枚ド
Then
ローで。
he got another Varen off of his monster effect, which is
So
actually
he will
really
go to
unfortunate
counter
for him.
phase the card that came out with the Varens, so it fails. He's upset that it was 3 Varens, and he will draw up to 5 and advance into 3.
Drop one. Reset
Probably
rage.
counting his discard to make sure that he's got enough for a GAM when that time comes. Because you've got to have 8 monsters in your discard in order to play the card.
Second verse, same as the first.
Discard a
見える
2-step,
戻します。
rage 5. It's actually
怒りを5枚まで。
doesn't always happen, but that's kind of the ideal track that you want
で、ターン
for
終わりで
this
す。
for this blue rage deck.
ターンもらいます。ワンドロー。どうすか。あ、で、怒りが消えますと。失礼。困ったな。
This is a confusing situation to be in.
2怒り。
So one of the, I guess, coming back to the thing, one of the things you'll notice is that
Two
the
rage.
there's not been a lot of invading on Inono's
サイ
side.
He has 8 monster cards in his discard pile.
And part of that is due to
Yeah,
the
coming.
way that the
Mhm.
Japanese
Yeah.
versus the English sort of play. English players are not afraid to just sort of rush up forward like Ian is doing with the bungler. A lot of Japanese players tend to be more conservative and slowly walk their monster forward.
ゴジラ上陸を切って一歩前進
Alright,
して、
discarding a
効果
Godzilla
で
landing
怒りを
to
ゼロ
invade
に
in
し
order
ま
to
す。
reset the rage, so he
He
will
will
be able to
discard
counter
Godzilla
Ian.
landing to advance 1 and activate Gam's effect.
Rage to 0.
怒りをリセットしました。
どうしようかな。
So he's trying to figure out what to do. I'm going to go ahead and pause and spoil some things for a second. So I think he's played 2 monsters, discarded 1, so he had 6 in his hand. So he's still got 3 more cards in his hand. You'll see towards the end of the game that he actually ends up drawing a whole bunch of Godzilla landings. And I'm curious to know if he has a Godzilla landing in his hand right now, because if he did have a Godzilla landing, he might be debating on whether or not to play that Godzilla landing and pull Ian's monster card into 8 to counter it to 3. But then the choice would be if he has that second Godzilla landing in hand, he might want it later for when he actually gets up into 7 to make sure he can again pull Ian's monster into 8 to win the game. But we'll see how this all plays out. And again, because we don't know what the hand is, it's hard to actually say what kind of decision he's making. But because he's kind of pausing and thinking about it, I'm kind of guessing that might be what was going on.
このまま撃退フェーズに入ります。1万3000、3000で1万6000で撃退です。
So
He
he
will
moves
go
on
to
to the
the counter
counter
phase.
step.
He will have 16,000 counter power. He will get the successful counter on you.
あ、で、すいません。
And he does get another rage off of
And
his
then he uses
monster's
the
effect there.
It's a Godzilla 2023 monster card, and he increases his rage by 1 more.
All right.
はい、で
Yes.
3位怒りですと。で、エンドフェーズ1歩進んで、ハンド2枚、3枚ドローで
So
エ
he's
ン
got
ドです。
2 cards
He
left in
will
hand.
advance for the end
So,
phase advance, draw 3 cards back up to 5.
Maybe did, maybe didn't have another Godzilla landing in his hand.
考えます。
There's just no way of knowing. All right, so
I'm gonna try that again, I think.
Ian is once again discarding
逃げる
his
進行しま
another
す
King of the Monsters. So you'll notice the 3 discards he's done so far. He's discarded 2 King of the Monsters and 1 Godzilla against Mechagodzilla, and those are typically your important cards for countering. Ian is not saving those because his plan is not to counter. At some point, if the game goes on long, then when playing this kind of deck, you will think about pivoting and not discarding those anymore. But at the moment, his game plan is still just rush forward, have lots of rage, and try and make sure that your opponent has to do something to stop you or you'll win. And he again discards
もう一回、
5
怒りを
cards.
5枚増やし
So
ま
yeah,
す。
every turn he's drawn 5 monsters and a 2-step, which is
で、ターン
3
終わり
turns in a
です。
row. That's pretty
Right,
ideal for
down
this
by
this
must
blue
draw.
rage type of play style.
2 draws.
負けくせー。なんか負けくさいな。
He thinks you might lose. You will do the burst. You do the burst and put you down back to 4 cards.
上陸打たなきゃダメだったか。
Discard that monster card.
怪獣カードを捨てますか。
はーい。
Alrighty.
4怒り。
We'll do
追加の
4.
He ended up with 5 monster cards in his hand after... Okay. So 2 non-monsters in his hand
4怒り、教習の怒りも
at the end of
入りま
this
したか。
turn.
はい、強襲の怒りプラス4怒りで5怒りです。
あ、そうです。はい、すみません。なんか
いや、でもこれなんか負けな気がするんだけど、気のせいこれ、怪獣を引けてないから負けだな。はい。エンドフェーズに入ります。撃退フェーズ16000で、到底届かないので、剥がれて一歩前進、ハンド2枚、3枚ドローでエンドです。
はい、he will move the counter phase with 5 rage. Can't do anything else. Draws back up to 5. He thinks he might lose this turn.
これ上陸打たない
Most
から
likely.
負けたな。こんな飛んでくることある？
Millennium delete area 8.
So there's the
はい、
removal
あの
strategy.
はい、
He
Big
drew right
two
into
game.
what he needed.
2進行。
Got his 2-step as well. All right. So now we can you can see in Rapushi's hand he's got 3 Godzilla landings left after that turn and 2 monster cards. So probably had those 2 Godzilla landings. He was in a rough spot because at that point, because if he couldn't counter, landing your opponent into 8 isn't really going to do you any good. So, yeah, kind of unlucky draws in some ways. He saw all 4 landings and 3 of his 4 Varens. And he really needed another Gam or a King of the Monsters or something to help him repel the Ian's rage-filled monster. All right, so let's go ahead and look back at the decks. All right, so here's Inono's deck. And I guess partly what I want to highlight is the fact that both of the decks, and we'll look at Ian's again too, you'll notice the ratios are basically the exact same. You've got 31, 32, 12, and then 6 versus 7. And I think it's very interesting to see the deck construction is so similar, but the way that they approached playing these decks was very different. So Inono ended up playing slowly. He had his monster just move forward little by little. He was not invading as aggressively as Ian was. And with a red rage deck like this, you can also play it the way that the blue rage was playing, where you could aggressively invade with those two-step cards. And if he had done that, it's entirely possible that if he and Ian were neck and neck in the up on that second line, if he was in 7, he might have been able to pull Ian forward, although I don't know if he had a two-step that he could have. No, he did. So it's one of those interesting things where the Japanese playstyle is actually much slower, because the further up the board you are, the higher the zone, the easier it is for your opponent to counter you. And that's a bad thing, because that gets you a little bit closer to losing. It also gets them one more card a turn, and that card advantage is very important. So their style is a bit more defensive, and the way he was playing was more of he was waiting until he had what he needed, and then he would make plays. He would invade to use Gam. He would invade to use Gam's ability to reduce rage when he had the counter power to counter his opponent. But what he was going up against was, again, a slightly different play style of much more aggressive, where English players have a tendency to not worry about that. I guess part of the thought is, well, if they've got stuff to counter me, they're going to play it eventually. So if Ian's playstyle was more of I'm going to make you have it, which is what that blue rage deck is kind of all about, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So I do want to highlight, though, there's this one chibi card, which is currently only available in Japan. I believe it's mostly just promo. There's a few ways to get it. But someone did ask on the Discord about this card, and Inono said that it's actually a very important card, because the rank 2 Godzilla in his deck only has 8,000 threat, whereas this chibi card has 13,000 threat. So his game plan is, when he goes to his rank 2, he's just going to go ahead and put that 13 over top of it once he gets the when invading effect off of his rank 2 Godzilla. The other thing I want to kind of highlight card-wise is he's got a couple of these cards which also function as Godzilla landings if your monster is rank 2 or 3. So he kind of has 6 Godzilla landings total in his deck. It's also a 2-step monster to help him, that he can use for invasion victory if he really wants to. Alright, now we'll go ahead and look at Ian's deck. Alright, so there's really, I don't have any specific cards to highlight here, but again, it is a very similar to construction to that Red Rage deck, and it was mostly just the gameplay style that differentiated the way that they were being played. You've got the 10 2-steps are all non-monster cards, so basically all your monster cards can be dedicated towards rage, and if you're looking to build this deck, technically speaking, basically all of the monster cards in this deck are replaceable. You can, as long as you got the 32 monster cards, you have the right ratios for having 4 to 5 rage every turn. Now, a lot of these monsters are chosen for some of the effects, and so if you end up in a match where it's like, oh, I might want this effect or that effect, then you've got the option to play the monster over top of whatever the current monster is. But generally speaking, basic gameplay will be every monster in your hand is going to go towards rage, and then all of your 2-steps are going to go towards invasion until you decide to make that switch, if it looks like you're going to have to win through counter because invading is not going to end up being a possible victory. All right, well, that's all I've got for the game and the deck review. Thank you for watching, And again, go ahead and check out Rapushi's Twitch channel and go ahead and watch the VOD. It's a very fun watch. We've got a lot of people that put a lot of work into it. We've got English and Japanese translators, so you can understand what's going on every moment of the game. And it's just a good way to see really 8 different decks be played in one sitting. I highly recommend it, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you later.